to create, not to destroy.
To absent
We stand
friends.
at the beginning of a new
Absent friends.
Absent friends.
Drama for Christmas on BBC1 features Silas Marner, an adaptation of George Eliot's classic novel that stars Ben Kingsley as the lonely weaver who suffers at the hands of fate.
The lots declare you to be guilty. There is no place for you in this church. We cast you out from among us.
I am innocent!
He is rewarded by a gift no less precious than life itself.
She's come to me, I've a right to keep her.
Silas Marner is at 10:10 on Monday on BBC1.
Well, we'll be spending the latter part of this Boxing Day evening at the Pictures, as it were, with Barry Norman looking back at some of the films of the year in 15 minutes, followed at 11:45 by the first of 4 films we'll be showing over the festive season from that master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock, Strangers on a Train. First on BBC1, the news with Jan Leeming.
The London siege ends with an assault by police. In South Africa, tribal tension after the Christmas violence. At home, a holiday dip in the sea despite the nip in the air. And Mexico celebrates the miracle of the earthquake's youngest survivors. Police with handguns and stun grenades have ended the siege in West London. They stormed the flat where a man was holding a small girl at knife point. The girl was brought out with stab wounds. The man was shot by police. Both are in hospital, but neither is said to be in danger. The siege began on Christmas morning after the girl's mother staggered from the flat with knife wounds. She died later in hospital.
As the siege continued into a second day, skilled police negotiators tried to persuade the man inside the flat to give himself up without further bloodshed. But men from Scotland Yard's tactical firearms unit were never far away, aware that the siege had begun with the fatal stabbing of the child's mother. The man, named as Errol Walker, was still brandishing a carving knife, and concern for the safety of the 4-year-old girl, Carleen, grew when he brought the child to the edge of the balcony. 30 feet below and out of sight, firemen waited. Walker retreated into the flat, but still making threats. Then at dusk, he gave the police an unexpected opportunity, scurrying along the balcony to grab a discarded riot shield. But as they pounced, the police were thwarted by the flying shield. For an agonizing few seconds, they seemed unsure what to do next. But inside the flat, they heard Walker shout that he was about to stab the girl. Committed now, they smashed their way in, throwing stun grenades. Finally, the sound of gunshots signaled the end of the siege. "90 seconds after the police had made their move, the child was brought out, still alive. She has 2 minor stab wounds, but is now recovering in hospital. Minutes later, Errol Walker was carried from the flat. Police say he was hit in the shoulder and the back of the head, but they say he's in no immediate danger. Tonight in hospital, he's had an exploratory operation. Black residents on the estate vented their anger on the police, accusing them of unnecessary violence in ending the siege. But the police argued that the clear threat to the child had fully justified their action.
Tonight, Scotland Yard defended their decision to storm the flat. They rejected criticism that they'd overreacted and been slow in moving in.
The whole period from beginning of the incident of him coming out to the police action within the premises was only 45 seconds. I think that you would agree with me that in all the circumstances, bearing in mind that they had to go through a closed door, that was remarkably quick. And I would say remarkably efficient.
Are stun grenades not rather overreacting in a case where a man is armed only with a knife?
When you consider that the officers outside had heard certain things that caused them to believe that this little 4-year-old child's life was in danger, the decision was there and had to be made and was rightly taken, that they had to go in.
There have been 5 more deaths in South Africa's black townships, adding to the toll from tribal battles over the past 48 hours. Near Durban, it's now thought the number of dead from the intertribal fighting between Zulus and Pondos is well over the official tally of 53.
The tension has been high all day. Groups of Pondos patrolling with clubs and spears through the valleys. Zulu impis gathered ominously on the hillsides. At the height of the fighting yesterday, 5,000 men were involved in sporadic and deadly clashes across a wide area. Most of the fighting took place at night.
The strike during the night.
How many have you seen dead?
I've seen a few dead, and I heard that there are many more inside the reserve. Last night they have told me that 26, and this morning somebody have told me that there's 54 dead.
KwaMakuta is a sprawling settlement of squatters' shacks, traditional Zulu territory, but now thickly populated with Pondos, moving up into the Durban area looking for work. The tribal rivalry has a long and bloody history, now being repeated. Dozens of men from both sides are being treated in hospital. It's expected the final tally of dead will be higher than the present estimates. Many families have fled, carrying what possessions they could. Some have taken refuge in a local mental hospital until the fighting dies down. More have moved into the Red Cross Centre in Durban, now sheltering 150 families, some of whom say they'll never go back.
There are renewed hopes for an end to the civil war in Lebanon, which has been going on for over 10 years. The Shiite leader, Nabi Berri, says a peace agreement will be signed by leaders of the 3 main Christian and Muslim militias. It's been worked out in secret talks. Troops are standing by to evacuate 5,000 people living on the slopes of Mount Etna in Sicily. The volcano erupted yesterday, killing 1 man and injuring several others. The flow of lava has now slowed down, but there have been more strong earth tremors. Thousands of people have already left their homes because of the tremors. The Defence Secretary, Michael Heseltine, has cancelled a family holiday to Nepal because of the Westland helicopter crisis. The Defence Ministry said Mr Heseltine felt he should stay in Britain while decisions are being made about Westland's future. Labour's Trade and Industry Secretary John Smith has urged the government to acquire a substantial holding in Westland to secure its future. Police say the number of motorists caught for drinking and driving is up on last year. A fifth of all drivers breath tested since the Christmas campaign began have been over the limit. But the officer coordinating the campaign says public support has been high, and he warns the fight against drunk drivers will continue into the new year.
If we can get the average responsible member of the public with us, then and if we can reach a point when drinking and driving is seen to be antisocial, then we really are laying the foundations for good progress in the future. And I think this has marked this year's campaign. It's moving into the European Year of Road Safety. Will be a rolling campaign, and I think we should make very real progress in the next 12 or 18 months.
Torrential rain has been sweeping much of the south and west of England, causing widespread flooding. The Thames flood barrier has been closed tonight, only the second time it's been used, because of a dangerously high tide. The GLC says it eliminates any threat to London. Elsewhere, the River Avon overflowed and many minor roads became impassable. But with colder weather on the way, the next danger could be ice and snow. Deep surface water on major roads south of London slowed holiday traffic. It brought police warnings to stay at home unless journeys were absolutely necessary. Many probably wished they'd taken the advice. And Boxing Day sport also has been disrupted by the weather. Here with the news of what's been happening is Michael Peshat.
8 Canon League matches had to be called off because of waterlogged pitches, but the top 3 clubs in the First Division did play, although they may now wish they hadn't. All of them lost. 2 goals by Graham Sharp helped Everton beat leaders Manchester United by 3 goals to 1. Clive Wilson scored the single goal for Manchester City, which was enough to beat Liverpool, and Tottenham's Steve Perryman, not usually a great goal scorer, got one 5 minutes from time to beat West Ham. There's no change in the league placings. Chelsea didn't play today. But with those at the top showing inconsistency, the title race is looking much more open. In the second division, Norwich increased their lead by beating Charlton 3-1. Portsmouth lost at home to Brighton. In Division 3, Swansea City went to Cardiff for a match that very nearly didn't take place. Swansea was officially wound up in the High Court 6 days ago.